Today's lesson is about how to figure out zeros of a polynomial by using graphing calculator. First of all, after you turn on the calculator, make sure clear the memory. We do second plus 7, 1, 2. Clear the memory. Then let's familiar with some items on the graphing calculator. Look at the window. After you clear the memory, they show this window. This kind of window is we call standard window. If you want to get the standard window, you always go to Zoom 6. Then they give you standard window. You can change the window manually, like X minimum I can change into -20. Then maximum, normally I will do the same as the minimum, it's just opposite sign, it will be 20. Then the scale, X SCL, that's the scale, which means for your window, for each unit stand for how much. Normally we divide by 10, either using your X maximum or X minimum, you divide by 10. Then this time I need to change into 2. For the Y minimum, I can do -50. This part is 50. Then your scale will be 5. After you press the graph, look at this coordinate plane. For x-axis, that's each unit stands for 2. For the y-axis, each unit stands for 5. Let's look at this trace button. If you have a graph like 2x minus 5, then when you press graph, that's linear function. Then I press trace. I can put in like -5. That was my answer. So you get -5, y equals -15. They show you these coordinates on the graph. Then when you do the second trace, that means calculate. They will calculate value of a function, zeros of function, minimum or maximum of the function. They can figure out the intersection of two lines or two curves. For example, when you want to figure out the solution of systems of equation, then you can using this button to figure out that solution. And also, you can figure out the derivative and the integral of functions. So this button, second trace, calculate button, is very, very useful. So go to y, I put the x, do the third power. Then minus 5x squared. Using this button for square, it's more convenient. Then plus 5x, then minus 1. You will press graph. I'm looking for the zeros, that means x-intercept. But from this graph, you could see the x-intercept too close. It's hard to see. Then I can change the window now. For the x-axis, I can change into 1 through 5. On the left side, I can just use like 2. That's enough. For the y, I can make it small like 5. Now I change the window. Minimum, let's just go to -2. Maximum, I want to do the 5. If your x minimum and maximum is less than 10, or it's between like 0 to 10, then your skill still is 1. If it's more than 10, then just divide by 10. Then for the very minimum, I can change it into -5. And the very maximum, that's I can do the 5. Skill is still 1. Then I put rest the graph. Look at the graph. This time is more clear. Therefore, you know, this is my first 0, second 0, and then the third 0. I go to second trace, calculate 0, so I press 2. Then they ask left bound. I'm looking for the first 0. Left bound, that means any point on the left side of this 0. So I move the arrow to the left side of this 0. Yeah, that's the left side of this 0. It doesn't matter how far from this 0, as long as it's on the left side of this 0 works. So I put the enter. Then I move the arrow to the right side of this 0. Then I put enter. Enter again. Then they give you 0 will be 0.268. After we get the first 0, then we need to get this 0. So we go to second trace. We're looking for 0, so we press 2. And in your mind, remember, we want to put the arrow on the left side of this 0, the second 0. So I put the enter. Then move the arrow to the right side of this 0. I put enter. Enter again. That's they give you 0, x equals 1. Now I look for the last 0. So do second trace. Go to 0, that's 2. Then move the arrow to the left side of this 0. Yeah, it's already on the left side, so I put the enter. Then move the arrow to the right side. Enter. Enter again. That will be the third 0. So now let's get the maximum and the minimum value of this graph. This is a maximum value. You have to make sure you're looking for the maximum value. So this is maximum value. I go to second trace. Maximum value is 4, so I press 4. Then they ask you left bound. So you have to move the arrow to the left side of this maximum value. So move that to the left side of this maximum value. Then I put the enter. Then they ask you right bound. That means I need to move this arrow to the right side of this maximum. I put the enter. Then enter. Yeah, they give you maximum value, that's 0.417. How you get the minimum value? This is a minimum value here, so I do the second trace. I'm looking for minimum value. I press 3. So move the arrow to the left bound of this minimum value now. I put the enter. Then move the arrow to the right side of this minimum value. And then I put the enter, enter. they give you minimum value is negative 4.27. Now let's look at another example. y1 equals negative 5x to the third power, then plus 35x squared, then minus 45x minus 25. So we do the graph. You could see this window too small for the graph. Check the window part. X minimum is negative 5. Here's 5. Then here's 1. Then Y is like this. Let's go to zoom 6, changing to standard window. See how's it going. Okay, on the left side, this is not useful. So basically you can set up from here is like a negative 2. This part is not useful. You can until like either positive 7 or positive 8. That's for X. For the Y part, definitely negative 10 and a 10. That's too small for this graph. So I change the window. X minimum I set up like negative 3. Maximum I set up like 7. Then the skew definitely is 1. For minimum value, I will set up like negative 50. Maximum is 50. So the skew I do divided by 10, that's 5. So I check the graph again. Yeah, this is a good graph. I could see the zeros so clear, and also the maximum and the minimum is really clear. So I will do the second trace. I'm looking for 0. I press 2. I'm looking for the first 0. They ask left bound, so you have to move the arrow to the left side of the first 0. It doesn't matter how far from this 0, as long as it's on the left side of this 0, it's good. So I put the enter. Then I go to the right side because they ask you right bound. So enter. Then enter again. That's the first 0. I'm looking for the second 0. So second trace 2, 0. Then move the arrow to the left side of the second 0. Enter. Then I need to move to the right side of this 0. Enter. Enter again. Yeah, that's the second 0. Second trace, do the 2. So move the arrow to the left side of the third 0. Okay, I see enter. Then go to the right side of the 0, enter. Enter again. That's the third 0. And I can look at that minimum. It's here. So I go to second trace. I'm looking for minimum, so press 3. They ask you left bound. You know the left bound for this minimum, it will be on the left side of the minimum value. So I'm moving the arrow to the left side. Okay, I put the enter. Then right side. Enter. Enter again. That's the minimum value. So we go to second trace. I'm looking for maximum. That's a 4. Move the arrow to the left side, a little bit closer to that maximum value. So I put the enter. Then I go to the right side of this maximum value, put the enter, enter again. Okay, that's how you get the zeros and the minimum and the maximum value of a polynomial. Make sure you set up the correct window. It's very helpful for you to get those values.